Everybody put your hands together for Jan Rehoyo! Hello everyone, my name is Jan Rehoyo, and today we are going to talk about a treacherous journey across miles of desert to get to a land of opportunity. Is it an Indiana Jones film? No, it's immigration across the southern border, which millions of real-life people go through every single day. In the 2009 film Sleep Dealer, directed by Alex Rivera, we take a deep dive into a world without immigration, yet Borderveillance remains strong. Through flashy shows, a militarized border, and lopsided deals, the U.S. still stays vigilant about its border with Mexico. Using Camila Fojas's Borderveillance Media and a multitude of other sources, I will show how Borderveillance Media dehumanizes all different types of Latinos, and how Sleep Dealer is able to challenge those stereotypes and challenge the normalization of that type of media. Through its characters, from its setting to its dialogue, Sleep Dealer is able to show a world that suffers from the consequences of Borderveillance Media. Borderveillance media has grave consequences for not only immigrant Latinos, but Latinos with citizenship as well. Through the characters of both Memo and Rudy, Sleep Dealer is able to show both men suffering from the cruel tactics of borderveillance, and also show the internalized conflict between both sides. In this film, Memo grows up as a poor farmer. His father talks to him about the Mexico before the dams were built and how it used to be beautiful. But Memo does not listen. He does not care for the Mexico that surrounds him, and that same disconnect to Mexico takes place with his brother, David, who enjoys watching a Border Patrol show, which we will come back to later. In the chapter Techno slash Memo, The Politics of Cultural Memory in Alex Rivera's Sleep Dealer, Miranda talks about this disconnect between the youth and their cultural heritage. She states, Memo sees this commitment as a lack of vision by his father, who seems to be stuck in the past. This generational conflict positions the father as standing in the way of progress, since he refuses to accept a world fundamentally altered by technology. For Memo, he would need to break away from the father to move the family forward. This younger generation has such a desire to move forward with their lives, with the rest of the world, that they are willing to disconnect themselves from their cultural roots and their past and connect themselves to a new, better future. On the other hand, for this film, we have Rudy, who is the son of Mexican immigrants and has lived most of his life, if not all of it, in the United States. He gets the honor of becoming a drone pilot to hunt down terrorists in Mexico. Because of Memo's hacking earlier in the film, the agency believes that his house is a hideaway for terrorists. In his first mission, that is televised live, he shoots down Memo's house with his father inside, with Memo and David watching. Rudy comes to feel great regret and seeks to take responsibility and hopefully ask for forgiveness. But why did he even do this in the first place? Why did Rudy even join the agency at all? Well, it comes down to one simple fact. He thought it was normal. Fojas goes into this idea of normalization of borderveillance media in a reading, Borderveillance Media. She states, unlike the unmediated view from the webcam, which might yield hours of uneventful footage, Borderveillance reality TV adds plot to action to intensify the pace of policing, to guide the spectator with narration, and to piece together disparate events into a storyline and insert them into a moral universe. These storylines coincide with state discourse and a military strategy of preparedness against surprise attacks by an enemy alien who might use the ruse of undocumented entry to unsettle the state. Immigration control has been turned into a sort of spectacle. It's the equivalent of those cop shows that you see on TV. NCIS, CSI, Criminal Minds, Blue Bloods, etc., etc. However, there is a major difference between the two, and I think the difference should be very obvious. One of those is real life people. It's not fake, it's not actors, it's none of that. These are real people that are immigrating for what they believe is a better world All of this is normalized because people look at Mexico as worse than the United States. The Pew Research Center did a survey in which they found that a majority of Americans view Mexico unfavorably, but they found the opposite when it came to how Mexicans view the US. Both sides have been fed a story in which one side is presented as fantastic, the land of opportunity, nation of dreams, while the other nation is a disgusting third world, super poor country. And I don't think that's really fair. Which brings us to the second topic of this video. Borderveillance also presents an imbalance between two separate nations, the United States and Mexico. These nations are not made or treated equally in the film, and only one side benefits from their partnership, the United States. The United States gets to profit off of the work of the immigrants, whereas Mexico doesn't really get much in return. I mean, less people immigrate. I guess that's something. Even in a futuristic setting, Sleep Dealer demonstrates how borderveillance harms not only individual immigrants, but a whole nation. The premise is simple. A Mexican who wants to get work has to get nodes in their skin. Once they get their nodes, they are hooked up in a factory and put to work, where they connect to robots who are in the United States and do various jobs such as gardening, cleaning, and construction. The job is draining and the pay is not great. There's one quote in this film that perfectly encapsulates all of this. Around the 36-minute mark, while Memo is touring the new factory he's going to work in, his boss states this: "This is the American dream. We give the United States what they've always wanted: all the work without the workers." We can see the difference in quality of life throughout the film between the two nations and how only the United States is benefiting from this. The Latino race is viewed as the lower class, and this exact topic is brought up in Idioma Oluo's article, So You Want to Talk About Race. She says, "You cannot put chains around the necks of other human beings or slaughter them wholesale while maintaining social rules that prohibit such treatment without first designating those people as somewhat less than human." All of the Latinos in this film are designated as less than human, which allows the United States to work them to death and to also militarize their border so much without acting like its hands are dirty. This creates an unequal divide and furthers this subconscious idea of racism between the white American and the elitist American and the immigrant Mexican. And it's even worse to think about because this doesn't happen with all the other type of immigrants. From the north, the east, the west, they don't really deal with this type of scrutiny. It's only immigration from the south. In an article by epic.org, it states while all travelers are subjected to excessive surveillance, those with the lowest status experience the most invasive procedures. The combination of keeping Mexico poor and the subconscious prejudice that people have, this creates a system where Mexico is held under the foot of the United States. It's also important to remember how many people who are like Rudy, Latino American citizens. Because of all this immigration, the Latino subculture has grown massively in the United States. The population is one of the biggest out of all the cultures in the United States. But it's like Christopher Gonzalez says in his article about permissible narratives. There's a big difference between having numbers and having power. In his YouTube review of Sleep Dealer, YouTuber Pop Bass talks about the true meaning of cyberpunk. He mentions how modern day art has twisted it into some sort of aesthetic, but how this film embraces its true meaning. The characters in this film, Rudy and Memo, are outcasts. They are genuine punks. Not just because of the choices they make in this film, but also because of who they are. Borderveillance media has made these people outcasts. It treats them like dirt and it dehumanizes them. It creates both a physical and a cultural boundary between these two neighboring nations. Alex Rivera himself mentions how the world has become more divided on his website. He says, "On one hand, I've been fascinated by the dream of a global village, inspired by the internet. Technology has opened up new forms of connectivity and, in many ways, erased borders for communication. On the other hand, in a physical sense, the world is becoming more and more divided. Borders are violent and increasingly closed. The attacks on immigrants around the world only seems to intensify. The global village, seen from the other side of a giant border wall, looks pretty strange. We, as people, have allowed ourselves to disconnect from the world, and I think that sucks. We have the technology to connect our cultures together, and we choose to stay divided. Sleep Dealer tackles this idea phenomenally, and I hope that this paper, or this video, has encouraged you not only to watch this film, but to also embrace its message, to understand what it's trying to tell you. Be wary of what borderveillance media is trying to sell you, because at the end of the day, they're only looking out for themselves. Hey, this is just a little thank you note at the end. I know some of the audio doesn't work great in some of the videos. I apologize for that. But just want to say thank you for a fun semester. I learned a lot. Hopefully, you have a great break and a good Christmas and whatnot, and hopefully, see you around campus. So, thank you again, and have a good one.